Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Venus and this is Venus Escapes to Read, and today we are talking about the 22 books that I want to read in 2022 from my physical TBR. Let's go. So I don't know about you, but I have a ridiculous amount of books on my shelves that I need to read before I start buying more books. I'm not going to go too much into detail about all of these books or we'll be here all day, so I'll just be going through kind of brief descriptions of each book and what genre they're from. The first book on this list is Stephen King's Pet Sematary. I know it's shocking, I have not read this yet. I do love Stephen King, but I've just been putting this off for some reason, but I know it's one of his most beloved books, so I am super excited to read this. Stephen King is a horror author, and this book, Pet Sematary, is horror, and I've watched the movie in the past when I was younger, and it scared the crap out of me, so that might be why I've put it off for so long, but I can't wait to get to this year. The second book on this list is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This is a sci-fi book, and it is about a man who wakes up on a table, a gurney, and he is told that whatever he thought about his life is not true. I'm not sure. I know that he is on a mission to find his wife and his child. So I'm excited about this book. I've heard a lot of great things about Blake Crouch's writing, and I love sci-fi, so I can't wait to get to this one. Alright, book number 3 is The Passengers by John Maas. This is a thriller book about a self-driving car that decides to change the route, and a voice comes on over the intercom and says something like, "You are going to die," and then the trip starts. So I don't know, I've heard nothing but great things about this. I'm excited to read this. I have a feeling it's going to be a really quick read, so definitely looking forward to this one. Book number 4 is Empire of the Vampire by J. Kristoff, and this is an adult fantasy book with a vampire. I don't need to know or hear anything else other than that it's been given good reviews, and it has some of my favorite elements of fantasy in it. So there's gore, there's vampires, and there's wonderful world building and fantastic storytelling. So I'm excited to read this. This edition also, I don't know if all the editions have, probably do, but also has really cool illustrations throughout it. So I'm really excited to kind of dig into this and get to kind of journey through this book with these illustrations. Book number 5 is Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. This will be my first Robin Hobb book that I've ever read. I've heard so many things about this writer, that she has beautiful prose. The story is about Fitz, and he is a royal bastard. I do know that Robin Hobb apparently puts Fitz through a lot in his life. I am really looking forward to experiencing Robin Hobb's writing. I have heard nothing but amazing things about her writing style, so yep. And just a side note, I ordered these books online because I wanted this edition. It's gorgeous, I love it, and I love the bigger paperback. I'm not a fan of mass market paperbacks too much. So I get them, and I ordered them all together the same time from the same company, and the pictures all had this version of these editions. And I get it, and the first book comes like this, and the second book is like this, and then the third book is like this. None of them match. It drives me crazy. But it took like a month to get to me because it came from overseas, so this is the trilogy that I have. Book number 6 is Grave Peril by Jim Butcher. This is book number 3 of the Dresden Files. This follows Harry Dresden, who is a private investigator for paranormal activity. It has so many fun elements to it, all the kind of like werewolves and vampires and fairies, and he's just like an old school private detective with this long trench coat, and it gives all the vibes. And the audiobook of this series, the narrator is fantastic. It is James Marsters from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and he does a phenomenal job narrating these books. It makes the journey through these stories so much more fun. and I can't wait to jump back into the series. I highly recommend. Number 7 is Namesake by Adrienne Young. This is a young adult fantasy book. It takes place on the water. It gives all like the pirate vibes. Her writing style is fantastic. You really get immersed in this world. I highly recommend this series. The first book was fantastic and I can't wait to continue on. Number 8 is Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson, and this is the second book after A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This is a young adult mystery thriller series. It's fantastic. The first book follows Pip and her friends as she is trying to solve a murder that happened in her neighborhood, and the writing style in this book is so fun, keeps you engaged. It's really fast-paced, and I can't wait to read the second book in the series. Book number 9 is Wundersmith, The Calling of Morgan Crow, and this is by Jessica Townsend. This is part of the Nevermore series. This is a middle grade fantasy book, and it is so fun. I remember having such a fun time reading the first book. I can't wait to jump back into this world. The characters are hilarious. I think there's a talking cat. It's been a while since I read it, but the cat has like, from what I remember, had like a serious attitude problem, so it just made this so much fun, and I'm excited to get back into this world. Number 10 is The Four Winds by Kristin Hannah. This won Book of the Year for the Book of the Month Club. I've heard nothing but amazing things about this. This is a historical fiction book that takes place around the Great Depression. I hear it's a tearjerker, so this will be the book that I turn to when I'm ready to get my feelings. So I'm excited to read this book. Book number 11 is Cytonic by none other than Brandon Sanderson. This is a young adult sci-fi fantasy series that is amazing. You know I love my science fiction books that take place in space, and this has such a wonderful cast of characters. Sansa, the main character, she is just phenomenal. The things that she goes through and the strength that she shows and the ups and downs that she experiences throughout these books. This is book number 3, and I believe there are 2 novellas before this book that I need to read as well, but I am looking forward to jumping back into this world as well. Can't wait. Love Brandon Sanderson. Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I am so excited to read this book. It's on all of the top fantasy books to read list. It is about Kvothe, and he is telling his story from his, I don't know what this is about. And apparently it's super interesting because everybody loves this book. So I can't wait to start reading it. Number 13 is Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. This is another fantasy book I hear is nonstop from the second you pick it up. I have heard that you can get through this in one sitting because it is such a page turner. The setting is pre-Columbian Americas with political intrigue and forbidden magic, and I cannot wait to just sit on the couch and read this, hopefully in one sitting or in a weekend. So when I want to jump into something fast-paced, I'm going to turn to this, hopefully. Book number 14 is The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty, and this is another fantasy book, and this book is set in the city of Cairo, India, and the main character is a con artist who somehow summons a magical jinn, and they are swept up into a bunch of adventures, and I am really looking forward to this book. Again, have heard nothing but fantastic things about this, and this is a series, which I believe is a completed series, so looking forward to this one as well. Book number 15 is The Fifth World by N.K. Jemison, and this is a mix of science fiction and fantasy with very heavy world building and brilliant writing. This book has won so many awards, and I can't wait to experience N.K. Jemison's writing, so I'm really looking forward to reading this one this year. Book number 16 is The Black Prism by Brent Weeks, and this is the first book in the Lightbringer series, and another fantasy book. I love fantasy, so this book is about the magic system involves light. There is a diverse cast of characters in this book, and I understand the world building is amazing. Those are things that I love, so I can't wait to jump into this world. of the Lightbringer series. Book number 17 is Kings of the Wyld by Nicholas Eames, and this is another fantasy book, and this is set around a group of mercenaries that were disbanded, and I'm actually just going to read the back of this because it sounds funny. Their glory days long past, the mercenaries have grown apart and grown old, fat, drunk, or a combination of the three. Then an ex-bandmate turns up at Clay's door with a plea for help, the kind of mission that only the very brave or the very stupid would sign up for. I can't wait to read this. This sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun as they try to get themselves back together to go on this job on this mission. So this is going to be a fun read. I can't wait for this one. Book number 18 is The Golden Sun by Pierce Brown, and this is the second book in the Red Rising trilogy. I loved Red Rising. This is a science fiction series, and in the first book, Darrow is the main character, and in this society, it's a dystopian type of society where everyone is basically in a color class system. Darrow is in the red class system, and they're like the lower class. He's in a working society. He is mining beneath the surface in Mars, and some tragedy happens within his family, and he gets the opportunity to impersonate one of the upper class in the Gold Society. So his adventures continue in this second book, and I cannot wait, just like all of the other books that I've said the same thing. I cannot wait to continue on with this series. The first book was fantastic, and I hear the second one is even better. Book number 19 is The Fires of Vengeance by Evan Winters. This is a sequel to A Rage of Dragons. In the first book, Tal has some pretty awful things happen to him. So the first book was basically he was on a revenge mission, and it had so many battle scenes in it. So if that's not your thing, you may not like this series, but if you love wonderful, high stakes battle scenes, then this series is for you, and I'm really looking forward to jumping back into this world. It was pretty much like nothing that I had read before, so I highly recommend. Book number 19 is Malice by John Gwynne. Again, I have heard nothing but absolutely amazing things about this series. This is the first in the Faithful and the Fallen series. It is a fantasy, of course, and it has, speaking of battles from the last book that I mentioned, but this, from what I understand, has some of the best battle scenes in fantasy books. And there's giants and good versus evil, and it just sounds like such a fun time. And again, have heard nothing but amazing things about this series, and I'm really looking forward to starting it. And book number 21 is Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas, or House of Earth and Blood. It's a series. I'm not sure which title is the series, but this book is heavy. Oh my goodness. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen this book all over the place. I have actually never read a Sarah J. Maas book, so I'm really looking forward to starting my journey with her books with her first adult series. The second book, I believe, comes out this month. There are angels and demons and romance and all of the things that sound like I'm gonna love. So can't wait to read this. I think I might actually read this in February since the second book is coming out this month. So we will see. And the last book on this list is Scythe. This is a science fiction book, and in this world, this is the first book of a trilogy, and it is about a world where there's no disease, there's no death. So of course the human population is overgrowing. So there are people trained up as scythes that are basically assigned to kill people to help control the population. And in this book we are following along with two characters that are apprenticing for this job. So this sounds really interesting. Probably going to have some underlying themes in it to really make you think. I like in the description it says, they learn living in a perfect world comes only with a heavy price. So this list wasn't actually in any type of order. I just numbered them to keep myself on track. But so I'm looking forward to looking back on this at the end of the year to see if I was able to actually accomplish reading all of these books to help kind of decrease the number of TBR books on my bookshelf. Let me know down in the comments. Do you have a list of books on your physical TBR that you are trying to work your way through this year? Are any of my books that I listed today on yours as well? Let's chat. Once again, thank you for stopping by and hanging out with me today. I appreciate it. Please hit that like and subscribe button, and I can't wait to see you next time. See ya!